Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I'm here before. It's not even 4 o'clock yet, and I'm here. Can't call me late this time. Welcome, everyone. Hello, chat. Hope you're all well. Hello, Kaheen, James, Kyle, Chilling Gamer, Shivam, Laurenus, Jonathan. Oh, I just need to post that on Twitter as well. Bosh, lovely. Job done. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Gooey, Kaheen, Gabe, Michael, Thy, Kalo, Addy, Callum, Drewville, Mansour. Welcome, mate. James, Alvy, Amar, Mark, Aryan, Joe, Sebastian, Kamari, Meg, Sava, NFFC Owen, King Reese, Jivishen, Taxipus, Crystalite, NJ, Didier, Zaid, Josh, Casper, Alanliso, DG Gaming, Marcus, Tuomo, Abdulrahman, Richie, Armin, Zoe, David, Kyle, Rasmus, Isaac, Bart, Leonardo. Thank you, Ayub, for joining Friends of Tommo. Ayub. Cadu, Camille, Theodores, Willem, Kyle, Joy, LFX Gaming, Stan. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming to the stream. The pre-race stream. I can't even deal with the fact that this is the final race of the season. Round 22 of 22. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. George, mate. Thanks for joining Friends of Tommo, pal. Appreciate it, man. Welcome. We're here. We're actually here. 22 races into this 2021 season that will be talked about for generations to come. Hopefully, in like 50 years, when I'm 78, I can look back at this pre-race live stream. I'll be, oh, back then when Max and Lewis were going at it and won the title. We still don't know yet. Hello, Tommo, in 50 years. I hope you're still alive. Mad, isn't it? Mad, actually mad. I can't believe we're actually here. And I'll tell you what, like, it's come down to the wire. What we all hoped, well, not all of us. I'm sure there's plenty of Max fans who wished it was tied up 3 races ago. Plenty of Lewis fans who wished it was tied up 3 races ago. But I think most people yeah. I think most people wanted it to come down to the wire, ultimately. It's one of them where I feel like with most F1 fans, most of us are here for the sport more than we are for a particular team or driver. Whereas in a sport like, again, football, you know, my love for West Ham is bigger than my love for watching football. I love playing football, but watching football, West Ham trumps it, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Cadu, for the 999 UGX. Thank you, pal. And yeah, like it's pretty. It's feeling pretty tense, isn't it? Pretty stressful. They haven't made it easy on us fans. It's coming down to the wire. There's so much going on as well this weekend. We've got George's last race for Williams. We've got Valtteri's last race for Mercedes. We've got Kimi's last race ever in Formula One. We've got Antonio's last race in Formula One. What else? Do we have anything else? They're the kind of main things. Everyone's final race driving this spec of car. Last race of the 13-inch wheels as well. It's mad. Thank you, Denzel, for the 5 SGD. Thoughts on the FA reminder that they can deduct points, which they didn't when they didn't for any previous crashes like Italy, Britain, Saudi. Massi needs to go ASAP. We'll get onto that. We'll get onto that. Stroll's 100th race. Last race for Honda. Yes, true. Haas last time driving a POS. Hopefully Haas pull their finger out for next year. My voice just went weird then, didn't it? The last Albon-less race of the... Yes. That's true, Marcus. That's very true. Monster versus Red Bull in the championship is true. It's true. Bottas last pole and win, maybe. Look, I've said this before, right? If Alfa Romeo win the title next year, that is equivalent to what Brawn did. Because in 2008, Honda finished 9th in the Constructors, which is where it looks like Alfa Romeo are going to finish this year. And then everything happened, they became Brawn, and then they won the Drivers' Championship with a rule shake-up. So, listen, I don't mind if it's 21p. I'll take it, thank you. I still appreciate it. So, yeah. Why do I like Albon so much? Just seems like a really, really nice guy. And I just vibe with his personality and his character. And he's an underdog, which I like as well. So, what's a chinwag? It's kind of slang for chat, conversation. But yeah, so there's a lot of lasts in this race, okay? Not to mention the title fight between Lewis and Max coming down to the wire. There's plenty of other stuff going on throughout the field. In terms of like constructors roundup, I'm just trying to think like, you know, Alpine, it would take a huge result from AlphaTauri and an absolute shocker from Alpine for that to change. Same goes for McLaren, Ferrari. You need like a McLaren 1-2 and then both Ferraris to DNF, which just isn't going to happen. So constructors is pretty much rounded up. It's 28 points between Red Bull and Mercedes, which again, it's going to take like a DNF from at least one of the Mercedes for that to realistically be overcome. You know what I mean? So I think constructors is pretty much wrapped up. I think everyone's going to finish where they are now. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see. Anyway, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. A changed Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as well. A different circuit to last time where Max took the dub in 2020. Lewis had already won the title by this point, but Max put it on pole, won the race, smashed it. Great performance last time round. Now, obviously, you might think, oh, well, is this, you know, Max gives Max a chance. The thing is, they've changed up the track. They've changed up Abu Dhabi. For anyone who... Should we have a little look at Abu Dhabi track changes? Track changes. I'm sure I'll be able to find an image which has, like, the two... Yeah, there we go. No, that's a smaller picture. There we go. Okay. Give me 2 seconds, everyone. I'm just going to screen share so we can have a little look at the changes to the track. This one, and then I want this one. Yeah, that's fine. And then I need to hide that. There we go. Boom. Lovely jubbly. Right. Here we have the new Abu Dhabi street circuit track layout. So this nonsense over here has been removed for just a simple kind of hairpin, kind of like quite a high speed hairpin though. It's quite a wide turn-in. That's going to be good for Mercedes. Ultimately, Mercedes typically, general rule is that because the cars are longer, it struggles with the tighter, twistier turns. You remember the episode of Top Gear when they had to make their own limousines, and Jeremy made his out of a Fiat Panda, and it was about 15,000 feet long. And funny enough, it wasn't very good around the corners. Now, obviously, that's an extreme example, but the premise is very much the same. So yeah, they've They've made this corner a bit more of a flowing, high-speed hairpin. Down here as well, they've replaced this kind of left, right, left. I didn't hate this corner, to be honest. I thought, you know, we did get some overtaking down here. Hopefully we still, I mean, we definitely still will with these. And again, you've got to remember these track adjustments are looking more ahead, because I don't know if you saw as well, it was announced this morning that we will have Abu Dhabi on the calendar until 2030. So another 8, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 9 years of the Abu Dhabi, I'm assuming this circuit. So obviously that they want to future-proof it. And you know what, like, looking at it, obviously you've got, you know, start line here. Chance of an overtake here is unlikely, but maybe, because maybe you can follow a bit closer through, because these corners have been opened up a bit. So there's maybe an overtaking opportunity here, probably not. We don't typically see them there though. But this is now definitely, like, this was rare. You'd rarely see overtakes here because, you know, just ruin it. But this should be now. If you can keep close through here, don't touch the inside curb, because that would probably make you spin, then you can chuck one up the inside. So this is the first proper overtaking opportunity. There's obviously one up here. And there's that 3 good overtaking spots, maybe even this as well, if you're able to follow a bit closer through these sections, potentially. So I think, broadly speaking, most people are quite happy with the changes. But what I will say is that I do think these changes do... they do benefit Mercedes more than they do Red Bull, because the reasons I don't like raisins. They've already described. They haven't updated the F1 game, have they? I'm sure Codemasters... I mean, there's been an exceptional amount of tracks changing and all that and stuff this year, haven't they? But yeah, I think definitely for next year onwards, this is going to be a really good circuit. And for this year, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Is it a Mercedes? Is it a Red Bull track? I'm inclined to say Mercedes, to be honest. And the thing is as well, before we even had these changes to the circuit, you know, Lewis's record at Abu Dhabi was always pretty damn good. I know Max won last time out, but you know, Lewis didn't have a championship to fight for then. He'd already taken it. But yeah. So that's the circuit. That's the Abu Dhabi Street Circuit as it is now. Should we get onto the predictions? Do we think now's the time for the predictions? Race winner, driver of the weekend, struggle of the weekend, team of the weekend. And obviously, race winner is probably going to indicate who I think is going to win the Drivers' Championship. Now, obviously, at the start of the year, I would have, you know, for most of this season, I've said I think Lewis is going to find a way to get it done. Even after like Austria, where Max was looking on top, I was like, he can't write Lewis off. Then obviously the tides changed, Lewis caught up a bit, but then Max then seemed to get a bit of momentum as well. And I was like, I changed. I was like, actually, you know what? If I could put money on it right now, I'm going to say Verstappen. But now we're here at the end of the season. If you saw my final 6 video, I've got 4 out of 5 correct. The one I got wrong was Brazil. I thought Verstappen would win in Brazil, but that ended up being Mercedes quite comfortably in the end. Helped by that juicy new engine, of course. Now, well, the winner for me of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is going to be Lewis. I think Lewis. I think there's 2 main factors. Three main factors actually that tell me that I think Lewis is going to win this race and therefore the title. I think the track, like I said, is slightly more Mercedes now. I also, congrats. Yeah, my predictions don't have. Look, we'll win some, you lose some. I predicted Ocon podium last week on backseat, and he almost got it. So, yeah, I think, you've got the track that suits the Mercedes. You've got Lewis's run of form. He's won 3 races on the trot now. So he's moving in a positive way, and that Mercedes seems to be really hooked up at the minute. And also, the second driver. When you look at Valtteri Bottas's... Let's get it up, right? Average qualifying position. Between Bottas and... See, I can pronounce the T's in Bottas when I want. In Bottas and Perez... It's quite stark. Screen share, Bosch. Here we go. Right, so Valtteri's average qualifying position is 3.67. Sergio's is 6.52. I mean, he's pretty much like between Sergio and then Gasly and Leclerc is marginal. This is quite an interesting graph generally. Look how close Fernando and Esteban are. 11.05 to 11.1. Mad. But yeah. And I think having the likelihood of Bottas qualifying in the top 3 is very high. The likelihood of Perez qualifying in the top 4, I would say, is quite low. So ultimately, having Valtteri up there to be a wingman, and that I know this year there's been, plenty of instances where Bottas should have defended better against Verstappen and didn't. But ultimately, even if, Verstappen gets past, say it's like Mercedes 1-2 in qualifying, say Verstappen gets past Bottas, just having Bottas there, strategy-wise, gives the power to Mercedes. And strategy is going to be big on this one. So yeah, I'm saying that Lewis, because of those factors, I think Lewis will win the race. Driver of the weekend, I've said Gasly. I mean, I think Gasly's absolutely different gear, and he always, his qualifying record this season is absolutely insane. What he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 out of 21 times he's qualified in the top 6. 16 in the top 6. So good. And, he's qualified top 6 in the last 4 races as well. So, yeah, I think Gasly, and most of the time he can. The AlphaTauri either has pace in the race or it doesn't. That's the thing, that it kind of, the race pace is there or it isn't for them. And I think Yuki's a lot closer to Gasly in race pace, but because he qualifies so far behind, it's always an uphill battle, Good to see you last Sunday, mate. Hope you are. So yeah, I'm saying Gasly. Struggle, Yuki. Look, I back you. Whatever I say Yuki's going to do well, he struggles. So I'm not going to lie. This is kind of an attempted reverse jinx. I hope Yuki does well, because I like Yuki. But yeah, my expectations aren't particularly high. I'll be honest. I will be honest. And look, again, last week, I predicted Esteban struggle of the weekend for no reason more that he's very long and it's high G-force track. And I couldn't have been more wrong. So maybe Yuki will get on the podium, or maybe Yuki will just miss out on the podium like Esteban did, because I put him struggle. Yeah, Hannah is struggling with her cough, bless her. It's not the Rona, don't worry. She's had plenty of lozenges, but the whole live stream is a reverse. Maybe I imagine if I wielded that type of power. Imagine how that would go straight to my head, and I would weaponize it. Right, Alex Albon's going to finish last in the Drivers' Championship, which means he will win. Imagine. And then team of the weekend, Ferrari. Look, Ferrari have been mad impressive this year. They're gonna get P3, no doubt. the most joint points finishes, I think, of any team, or maybe joint with Mercedes. They might be clear. I think I saw a stat along those lines, and I just think this will be another really strong weekend for Ferrari. I think the track will work for them quite well, and to be honest, my drive of the weekend, it was a toss-up between Gasly and Leclerc for me. I think Leclerc will finish ahead of Sainz in this race and in the Drivers' Championship for sure. But again, very good position they're putting themselves in for next year, Ferrari. Pardon me. But yeah, that's what I think. That's my race prediction. As for your race prediction, again, I polled you lot on Twitter and YouTube community earlier today, and your thoughts are as follows. 48% of you, Lewis Hamilton victory. 36% Verstappen victory. 7% Bottas for the race win. So the people seem to believe, you lot who follow me anyway, seem to believe that Lewis is going to win the race. Team of the weekend, Mercedes 42%, 20% Ferrari, 19% Red Bull. So again, the faith is more in Mercedes. Drive of the weekend, Kimi Räikkönen, for obvious, clear reasons. Look, I'd love to see it. To be honest, I'll be 100% honest. I did have Kimi as my driver of the weekend, but then I saw that you lot put him as your driver of the weekend. So I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to actually go for who I actually genuinely think is going to have the best race this weekend, because you lot put him as driver of the weekend. So, and then Max, and then Lewis, and then struggle Sergio again. I know Sergio got struggle from you lot last race in the pre-race predictions. I feel like Sergio's had more struggles than anyone else in terms of you lot predicting him to struggle. But yeah, and then Verstappen Hamilton. It's funny, look, drive of the weekend is Kimi and then Sergio, and then it's Verstappen Hamilton on both driver and struggle. So yeah, my Twitter account's in the description, Jack. There should be a link at Tom McCluskey _. But yeah, I guess the thought process for putting Perez struggle is that because Perez isn't able to qualify as consistently in his car as, you know, Valtteri is relative to Lewis, then, you know, if Sergio ends up qualifying lower than fourth, that's going to be, he needs to get P4. Sergio really, really, really needs to get P4 on Saturday, in qualifying. He needs to be starting on that second row, like, to just be a factor in that race, be a factor in the team strategy. Because, you know, look, Max hasn't had the car, I don't think, at any point in his career to really challenge the Mercedes. And this is the closest he's going to get. And he hasn't had the teammate to support him for the last couple of years. And Perez, you know, I think Lewis understands that a big component of why Lewis has done so well is Bottas being there consistently enough. And this is a day when Max really needs all of Mexico behind him as well. And Sergio Perez needs to be up there. Sergio did have a mad race at Abu Dhabi last year, didn't he? His engine blew up, didn't it? But I really hope Perez can pull it out, you know, and deliver a decent result. That's what we want to see. Because I just want it to go. I want it to be like Max and Lewis side by side coming out the final corner. I mean, we can dream, right? I just want it to go the distance. I really do. But yeah. Anyway, they're the predictions done. Let's talk about, let's go through everyone now. So, let's start at the bottom, actually. Let's start at the bottom, work our way up. Nikita Mazepin, final race of the year. Hasn't been a great season. Has been, I think you could definitely argue, and this is putting all of my, because I don't like Nikita. Okay, I think I've made that clear. I've got my reasonings, but purely on track, it has been a very poor season. Thank you, Big Kid, for the $5, mate. Yeah, it's been objectively a very poor season. To be beaten so consistently by your teammate is not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. And look, I think we'll see. We'll see next year. There's been so many factors that Haas is an absolute dumpster fire for both drivers, but Mick has been able to produce consistently more. It's not much to write home about, is there, at all, with his season. I think he'll just want to move on from this year, and hopefully for him have a package, because it will be interesting to see if they can give both them drivers, Mick and Nikita, a package that can actually battle with someone. Because they're so far off the back, they can't even battle with the next worst car because they're so far off the back, But yeah. In my first F1 season in the books as a fan, can 2022 bring parity so we see an exciting battle for first? I understand, like a lot of you here, this will be your first kind of proper season into Formula One, and again, like throughout my life, I've was really into it, then less into it, then really into it, then less into it. I've always kind of like yo-yoed, but obviously these last kind of four or 5 years I've been kind of bang on it, and this has been an exceptionally good season, and I'm confident that next year will deliver because the cars will hopefully be a bit closer. But we'll see. Thank you, Melon, as well, for the 449. Excited to see Piastri win the F2 title. Hope it proves the point of how broken the system is. 3 years, 3 championship titles, no seat. Listen, Oscar, right place, wrong time. 4 pole positions in a row. Like he's been, I'm going to say dominated, but he's been convincingly a cut above the rest, Oscar. We all know he deserves a seat, ultimately, didn't we? We all know it. Okay, Schumacher, again, it's very hard to judge Mick this year. Very hard to judge because we know that car's terrible. And it's not been near enough to, the next worst car that they can even battle. You know what I mean? So ultimately, he's done what the first thing a driver has to do, which is to beat their teammate. He's done that convincingly this year. Obviously, he's not scored any points, but you look at qualifying, you look at race position finish, you look at time difference by the end. It's mad. It's mad. So, yeah, I think ultimately, I hope that Haas, whatever name that team is under next year, I doubt it will be Haas. I could see a Uralkali Formula One team. They've already kind of made that transition. If you look at the actual, hang on. The official logo. The official logo already weighs more. Hang on. See? It's already more Uralkali than Haas. Anyway, Haas is only little here. Little Haas. Uralkali. So like the transition's already happening, okay? As far as I'm concerned. I don't know. Who? Oh, wrong one. There we go. Who knows in the end? But yeah, they're the Haas boys anyway. Thank you, Dave, for the 5 CHF, mate. Appreciate it. Bot/Per lead the race, and your teammate is hopeless on P9, and Max Ham fun up. Are you giving up a win to help your teammate win the title? Of course, Dave. Of course, you're helping out your teammate to win the title. Like, of course, obviously. 100%. Like Bottas and Perez have raced. No, there's absolutely no 0% chance that they wouldn't tank their own result to help their teammate. There's no way that they're going to be selfish in that instance. Absolutely no way. No chance. Isn't it Ural? I don't know how it's... I'm just saying. The Kali is bold, so Ural Kali. I don't know. But yeah, okay. They're the Haas boys. Williams. Starting with Nicholas Latifi. I actually put a tweet out earlier asking who you lot think is the most improved driver of the season. And Nicholas... Sorry, most improved versus last year. Best season since the year prior. And Latifi was mentioned quite a lot, actually. And it's... Look, obviously George has still absolutely demolished him in qualifying. All right? If you look at Nicholas's average qualifying position, is 16.48. George's is 12.33. It's significant. But race pace, George has still been on top, like 100%. I know Go Tifi is a meme, I get that, but I do agree that he has improved. He's closed that gap up a good amount. And again, how good you rate Latifi depends on how much you rate George ultimately, because look. In 2 whole seasons, he's only beaten him in qualifying once. Like in proper Q1, Q2, Q3 qualifying once. So that's not good. But at the same time, again, how highly do you rate Russell? It depends. But all in all, I think Nicholas can be pretty happy with this season. Generally speaking, he's picked up some points. He's had some good results. But he's still a bit of an unknown because he's only driven against George Russell. And even George Russell, you can argue, is a bit of an unknown. I know we got the Sakir performance and he proved that, he can outpace Bottas jumping straight into Lewis's car, and Lewis is significantly smaller than him, so it wouldn't have been the most comfortable experience of his life. But yeah, I think Nicholas has taken a step forward. I do think other drivers have probably improved relatively more than him, but I think he's had an okay season. Not a bad season. Not a great season. An okay season. And then George, obviously, he had those highlights, didn't he? The P2, P3, quali, finishing. But, yeah, I think that, I think George has done what he can. You look at where that Williams team was when he joined and where it is now in terms of the car. The car is significantly improved. He can battle now. The car, when he joined in 2019, that car was as bad, if not worse, than the Haas's this year, relative to the rest of the field. So I think the drivers play a part in that as well. And I think it would have been a big learning experience for George. And I think Mercedes, they're feeling pretty confident in the kid delivering next year, but remains to be seen because he will be expected to jump in and hit the ground running. This will be George's 4th season. Wait, 2019, 20. Yeah, it'll be his 4th season next year. No excuses, George. Got to deliver. Thank you, Stephen, mate, for the 449. Why don't Red Bull sign Piastri and put him in the AlphaTauri if Tsunoda flops next year? Piastri ain't getting to sit in Alpine regardless. I mean, he might do. Fernando's contract, he's only got another year on his contract. I think ultimately, Alpine, are going to be looking long term. Fernando isn't, as much as Fernando's doing an incredible job, he's not a long term prospect, is he? Piastri, Ocon are. So, but ultimately, that's up to Alpine to decide and see how well Fernando does next year and if they can deliver a good car. I hope they can. I do hope they can. But anyway. And also talking of no excuses, obviously, Albon, Latifi next year at Williams. And look, I've said it. There's no excuses for Alex. He's got to jump in and he's got to out-qualify and outperform Latifi. I don't think Albon's as good as Russell, but I think Albon's better than Latifi, and when they were teammates in the past, Albon proved it. And Latifi's obviously had an extra year in F1 to... Has he? No, he hasn't. No, because Latifi's will have had 2 full seasons. Albon had 2 full seasons. Alex has had a year out. He's got to come back in. He's done a lot of simulator work, yes, to recreate some of these incidents for Red Bull, but also you could argue that Albon is, if he's been doing loads of testing and simulator work on the new car, the new Red Bull for next year, you could argue that he's one of the best prepared driver, one of them. So for me, next year, I'm expecting, if Alex doesn't beat Latifi next year, I'm going to be on his case because he needs to be. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. That's what support is for me. Like, I want him to do well. If he doesn't do well, I'm not going to make excuses. I'm going to say how it is. Like, he needs to do well next year. The pressure is on. I'm confident he will deliver. But if he doesn't, then words will be had for sure. Words will be had because Albon should be beating Latifi 100%. Okay, Alfa Romeo, Kimi Räikkönen, end of an era. And obviously, I put a video out last week about Kimi. Josh Revel also put a video out on Kimi this week. Really good. Give that a watch. And obviously, you know, the vibes of his team radios and all that over the years have been jokes, but the man's not a joke. He's had an incredible career. The longevity of his career has been amazing. You know, he even had time to go to WRC for a year and a half and NASCAR and then come back and then hit the ground running in 2012. I mean, Kimi's just an absolute legend, isn't he? He's an absolute legend. And, you know, he's such a... What I respect more than anything about Kimi, because especially like 2003 Kimi is one of my favourite drivers of all time, 100%. Like him in that car at that time, at 2003, to the end of his McLaren stint maybe, but specifically like 2003. That's one of like my earlier F1 memories, after like Mika Hakkinen, when Kimi stepped into that car. And, you know, has he been the greatest of all time? No. Has he had I think his prime was right up there, like 2003. I think he should have won that championship. But I'll tell you what, like, the way he just is unapologetically himself, and whether you like the way Kimi comes across or not, the fact is that, you know, this is a sport with so much history and so much affluence and so much, like, it's been a posh boys sport for so long. You know what I mean? Like, going back through the history of F1, so much privilege. Everyone's from like millionaire backgrounds. You go back through the years, like the vast majority. You know, we race in Monaco for a reason, right? Let's not be naive to these facts. And like Kimi comes in, you know, he's had 23 races as a junior in Formula Renaults, and then just jumps into Formula One and just conducts himself exactly as he pleases, and, you know, just is himself. And I think that takes, because there must have been so much pressure on Kimi to like, oh, you got to act a certain way, you got to do this, you got to do that, and he was just like, that was my best Buo impression. Yeah, he doesn't give a toss about all that. He just likes racing, and I respect that. I really respect that. You can tell, like, there's a reason he's been in the sport for as long as he has, because he clearly, as much as, you know, he doesn't show it, you don't see him like jumping around and smiling, and, you know, him and Daniel Ricciardo are literally like yin and yang. You know what I mean? But he clearly loves it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spent almost half of his life racing Formula One cars. So, but yeah, spend more time with his family. Respect to Kimi, and hopefully he has a good race. One final hurrah. You know what I mean? And then on to Antonio Giovinazzi. Again, final race in Formula 1. Will he come back? I'm not sure. I don't think he will. I think he's got a Formula E seat ultimately. He's going to have a career in motorsport. Probably do some Le Mans, some WEC, maybe some touring cars. Who knows? Antonio, you know what? Like, he's a proper lovely bloke. Clearly, you can tell. Always conducted himself very well. And I think it's one of them what could have been, you know? Like, his qualifying pace, I kind of feel a bit like I do about Valtteri right now with Kimi. Like, both very strong qualifiers, but both typically aren't able to deliver in the same way during a race. Thank you, Vineet, for the 100 rupees. And ultimately, I think there's been too many other drivers around who are able to deliver both. I think if you could just isolate Giovinazzi's qualifying, I think very good. And because he's in every single season that they've raced together, him and Kimi, he's either matched or beaten Kimi in qualifying. But in every single season, I think that's true. But also in every single season, I know this is true, Kimi has either beaten him or been exactly level with him in points. And so it's that relative drop back. And look, qualifying pace is great, but if you can't deliver in the race, that's where the points are won and lost, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think ultimately, does Guan Yu Zhou deserve the seat over him? I mean, Oscar Piastri definitely deserves the seat over both of them, but we know that's not happening. Is Guan Yu Zhou a bad driver? Not at all. But we know obviously why that's happening, and we know Antonio's a bit upset about it. And I can't blame him. But hopefully, he's gone to Dragon in Formula E, does a good job, and we'll see. We will see. Douche, if no one cares about what I think, why are there 2,500 people here? You should ask yourself that question. Right, AlphaTauri, Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda. This season it's been rough, isn't it? It's been a rough season. Very rough. It's been a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a multitude of different factors, right, that have come in to kind of look. Yuki's got that raw pace. I think you look at his performances in F2 last year, and you think like that was his rookie year, and he almost finished P2. Would have won the title if you get rid of reverse grid sprint races. I think Yuki got that call up on merit, and again, I said it at the time, like I think Albon would have gone to AlphaTauri if Yuki hadn't been there, but obviously Japanese driver, did very well in his rookie season in F2. Like, I'm not surprised. I didn't really blame Red Bull for going with him. As much as I'd have liked to see Alex take the step down to AlphaTauri and prove a point, wasn't able to, but I get it, you know what I mean? I understand. And perfect storm, that's it. Perfect storm. And this year, again, Bahrain, he was my driver of the weekend at Bahrain. Finished P9, debut in an AlphaTauri. Fantastic. Unfortunately, he's hit walls quite a lot, hasn't he? And he's made mistakes. I'd be interested to know if someone's kind of gone through it and listed. I reckon Yuki's definitely in top 3 of like numbers of, unforced errors, when you just like spin on your own, or those kind of errors have crept in a lot. And he's very raw, but I do believe there is the ability is there. But you got to remember, he consecutively went from F4 to F3 to F2 to F1, 1 year in each, straight up. And it was always going to be difficult, especially with Pierre driving so well. You've got Pierre, who's a very capable driver, but also he really, He wants to put himself in the shop window, and you've got to say there must be that added. When you look at a driver like, who'd be like a good example? Esteban Ocon would be a good example now, right? He's got his contract, for the next kind of, I think it's 2 full seasons, maybe even 3. I can't remember. Settled, you know what I mean? Like you could feel quite settled in that environment. Gasly, he wants that Red Bull seat. Clearly, he's spoken about it. And if he doesn't get the Red Bull seat, he wants something elsewhere. And so he's putting himself in the shop window. Gasly, I think Gasly's been incredible this year. I think he was incredible last year as well. He's continued to put himself in that shop window. And that's not helped Yuki's task at all when your teammate's been doing so well. I think Pierre's been overachieving, and that's just made Yuki's underachievement feel even worse. You know what I mean? I don't think that AlphaTauri over the course of the entire season is a better car than the Ferrari or McLaren. Maybe at certain venues, but overall, definitely, I think it's definitely 5th. I do think it's closer to the McLaren and the Ferrari than it is to the Alpine. And the Aston Martin's just been no man's land, hasn't it? It's weird. Alpha livery. We'll look at them in a bit. We'll go through all the drivers, then we have a look at the Alpha. You don't need to spam advert. It's all good, mate. But yeah, you are directly measured against your teammate, exactly. And he has been pumped by Pierre Gasly. This is Yuki's final chance. The only driver to get completely whitewashed this year will be Yuki Tsunoda if he doesn't beat Pierre in qualifying. Q1, Q2, Q3 qualifying. I'm not including sprint qualifying. Okay, just to clarify. Minton is not a cat, Aldo. How dare you? But yeah. And then Gasly, I've already said I think he's quality, and I've already talked. Yeah, Pierre's just different gravy, isn't it? Continuing to show that Red Bull stint wasn't representative of how good a driver he actually is. And obviously, I'm hoping that Albon will do the same, prove that he is a better driver than that Red Bull stint made him look. But we'll see. Thank you, Ryan, for the 125 something. I don't know what that currency is, but thank you. Most excited to see young drivers test. Logan Sargent, mate. I'm buzzing to see Logan do the young drivers test. You know I love Logan because I want an American in F1. I think he's got a good chance. Thank you, Tim, as well, for the $4.99. Many dislike Joe's move, and I'm one of them, but we can't dismiss the fact that this move is going to bring racing to so many talents and fans in China. It's true. Of course it is. That's why the money behind Guan Yu Zhou is there, because, if you can be the whichever, Chinese brand / brands affiliate with Guan Yu Zhou for next year, then there's going to be so many more eyeballs on him. That's going to be a very profitable, it's a marketing activity ultimately. And the whole reason they're putting him in is because they're anticipating a lot more, Chinese fan eyeballs on the sport next year. So, yeah. Sorry, Nikhil, if I missed your super chat. I will go back at the end and make sure I haven't missed any. But yeah, smashed it. Hang on, let me just quickly do that now before I lose track of time. Also, my video I put out yesterday is absolutely banging views, bruv. Mad. And I've changed it to just 3 days to go, by the way. And I'll change it to 2 tomorrow and 2 the day after that. Sorry, 1 the day after that, and then 0. I'm not sure what I'll do on the final day. Yeah, thank you, Nikhil. Kimi Raikkonen, driver of the day. Can we all vote for him? Let's get everyone on board. I agree. Whatever happens, Kimi Raikkonen is getting that driver of the day. Okay, I agree. It's going to happen. Yeah, but thank you, Nikhil, for the dono. I will be sure to tweet my support of that message out beforehand, and I will be doing a live stream as well on Sunday. So yeah. Cookie dough or deal dough? Hey, well done, Vince. You got me. I mean, definitely cookie dough. I think your mum would prefer the other one. Hey, thank you for the 5, mate. Appreciate it. Right. Next, Alpine. Worth the 5. That's good. I appreciate that. Alpine. So, again, I put on Twitter, most improved driver, and a lot of people said Esteban Ocon as well. I think Ocon has been, he was good, then he wasn't good, then he was good, then he wasn't good, then he was good. His season's been a bit up and down. How much of that is his dodgy chassis that he struggled with? He also got a couple of, didn't he get like 4 races in a row where he just like either like got DNF'd or just messed up early doors? We are doing reverse order. All in all though, I think Esteban's had a very good season. I think, you know, considering the caliber of driver he's up against and the level that caliber of driver is driving at, because again, going into this year, I was like, you know, we're not going to see Alonso at his prime. We're going to see an Alonso who, you know, come back to the sport. He'll drive well, but he won't be at the levels that he was at, you know, even back in, you know, 2017 when he was dragging results out of that McLaren. But as we all know, Fernando has, at 40 years of age, after 2 years out of the sport, has done. He's just ridiculously impressive to me. Ocon did win a race, true as well. But yeah, all in all, I think Ocon's had a really good season. I think Fernando's had a really good season. I think when you look at their consistency in qualifying, again, they are the closest teammates in terms of qualifying on average. It is 11-10 to Alonso going into the final race in Q1, Q2, Q3 qualifying anyway. Maybe Ocon can level it up. There's 5 points between them as well. Obviously, Ocon got his win and he got that P4 that could have been a P3. So close. Alonso's done fantastically as well. He had the slower start to the year, but that's understandable. And then he's kind of arced and been at a very solid level. Ocon had a really good year last year as well, actually. Towards the end of the year, sorry. He had a really good end of last year. Most of the year was really bad. He got slapped up by Daniel. He finished miles behind. But the last kind of few races, it seemed to click a bit more. But yeah, Ocon, really good. I think Alpine can be happy going into next year because as well, like Fernando has, you know, we know Fernando wants a championship challenging car. And you know what, like, honestly, if they can give the Alpine boys a championship challenging car, do I think Fernando can challenge? 100%. If you ask me that at the start of the season, I'd be like, of course he's not. He'll be 41. He's had 2 years out. Yeah, 1 year back, but 41. No, but I'm wrong. I was very wrong. And I'm happy to put my hands up. I'm happy to put my hands up for that. Don't you worry. But yeah, Fernando's been great this year. Done a really good job. Fantastic defensive driving against Lewis at Hungary. That was a bit of a highlight for sure. Obviously got his podium as well. Very good. Almost 2 Alpine podiums in a row. Tell you what, they pulled it out at the end. Alpine just... I've got a soft spot for Alpine. I've got to say, I do have a soft spot for Alpine. I think I'm going to be rooting for them more than most teams next year. I don't really have a team. I'd say probably McLaren are my slight favourites. But I don't know, maybe next year, maybe I'll be giving equal love to Alpine as well. We'll see. Thank you, Ekner, for the €5. If Hamilton wins an 8th, do you think he'll pull Rosberg and retire? And if so, what would Merck do to replace him with? Thanks for doing the live. You're welcome. Thank you, Ekner. No, absolutely no chance. There's no chance Lewis does that. He's already signed the contract. Like, I think that if he hadn't... I'll tell you what, right? What I do think is that if Lewis hadn't been pushed to the wire by Max this year, because this has been a battle throughout the whole season, right? If this was another 2019, even 2020 season, right, where it's just Lewis and Valtteri at the front, pretty much, and Lewis, starts picking up them wins and Valtteri can't keep up, then I think maybe Lewis wouldn't be racing in F1 next year, because he'd get that 8-4 title. But I just feel like this battle with Max has relit a bit of a fire under Lewis and given him that desire to carry on. And obviously into the new regulations, he's won in every single season he's raced in F1. I'm sure that'll be another record if he wins. Because he's gone through how many big rule shake-ups? Well, we've had obviously he won in 2007-8. So that was the one set of regs, and then 2009 we kind of had till 2013 we had another set of regs, and then 14 to now we've had turbo hybrid, but even then they've kind of changed a bit. 2017 they changed, didn't they, to make the cars faster, and then if he can win again next year, that's I'm sure that's probably another record for him. I wouldn't be surprised anyway. 09, 14 and 17. Surely that's probably another record. I don't know. Maybe it is another record. Maybe it isn't. I can hear the clean laundry finishing. It's a cycle in the washing machine. But yeah, I think Lewis, there's no way he's retiring, even if he wins the title on Sunday. No way. Okay. Aston Martin. Aston bloody Martin. Right, so qualifying between the two. So it's been a tricky one, because who do I think has been the better driver over the course of the year? Sebastian, definitely. Obviously, look at the qualifying. So Seb's average qualifying position is 11.57. Lance's is 13.25. So enough. Not crazy different, but enough. Seb's been ahead. Now, obviously, Seb's ahead on points. What is it? What are the points now, actually? What are the points? I know I'm asking you, but I'm just gonna get this year's Wikipedia up, so that it's easy to. Yeah, so Lance has 34, Seb has 43. That would obviously be that 43 would should have been. God, that's even mad, because that Hungary result, where obviously Lewis inherited an extra 3 points for getting P2 instead of P3 because Seb got disqualified. That could end up changing the title as well. What do you mean, here comes my Seb agenda? I've said nothing negative about Seb. Calm down. So Seb should really be on 61 points. Shouldn't he? He's got 43. He should have had 18. I know, right, Luke? Bias. People are so sensitive. So much sensitivity. It's hilarious. But yeah, so Seb should be clear points-wise. Again, when you include that Hungary result, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 point scoring finishes for Seb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 point scoring finishes for Stroll. Yes, Stroll's been in the points more, but Seb should have 2 podiums as well this year in an Aston Martin that clearly isn't very good. Clearly, I mean, those new regulations, Mercedes obviously, took a hit on the new regs, but Aston Martin, considering where that Racing Point was last year, took a fat L on those regs. I tell you, mad. But yeah, I think of the two, I mean, Lance has done an okay job. Look, I think Lance is a driver that is good enough for Formula One now. Do I think he's anything special though? I haven't seen enough to suggest that. Yes, there's been certain instances where, he's put himself in the right position to get a podium. Qualifying last year in Turkey in the rain, very good. Obviously, that's changeable conditions, so a lot can happen there. Lance has had an okay season. It's been I think given where that car seems to be, given the fact that a 4-time world champion in Sebastian Vettel is P12 in the drivers' standings, okay, and I do think that team is a much better fit for him than Ferrari. I think Seb's driving better than he did last year at Ferrari. That is clearly not a great car. Lance is doing a right job. Seb's doing a better job. I think Seb's actually been, especially these last kind of 5 races, I think Seb's been very good. I think Seb's definitely, again, if Aston can just give them a car that's competitive, I do have faith that we could see a top level Sebastian Vettel once again in this sport. I believe it, but they need to give him a car that he's comfortable in, and that's what it comes down to. But yeah, hopefully we'll see. Fingers crossed. Trying to dodge, it's true though. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he's not an adaptable racing driver. Clearly, like Daniel Ricciardo really struggled going into Renault at start. Really struggled going into McLaren. I love Daniel, but you can't argue that he's as adaptable as someone like Fernando Alonso or Carlos Sainz. You just can't. You can't make that. I don't think you can make that. You can make that claim, because you look at how well Carlos has adapted to every team he's gone to. He's raced for 4 teams already. You look at how adaptable Fernando has been. He's never in his whole career been like well beaten by a teammate at any of the teams he's driven at. What kind of English is that, Tommo? Grow up. And that's why I'm just like, I'm not expecting. Sebastian's done better than Lance this year. I don't think it's been like an absolute demolition job though, at all. But if they can give Seb a good car, we know how quick he is on his day. And there's been signs this year, Baku, Hungary, Monaco, great results. So fingers crossed, because I'd love to see Seb back up there, definitely. I love a story arc where they're doing well and then it all goes wrong and then they rise back up from the ashes. I'm all about that story arc. Okay, thank you, Carl, for the £5, mate. Appreciate it. Lewis got this. We'll see. I think he does. I think he will. But don't start getting a tattoo of Lewis Hamilton, 2022 world champion, just yet. Do not do that. Do not do that. Okay, McLaren. So, what do we say about McLaren? Daniel Ricciardo. I was expecting big things from Daniel this year. It's not been a great year, has it? I love Daniel. I'm a big fan. And any chance of Pato replacing Daniel? Absolutely not. No chance. Yeah, look, it's not been a great time for Daniel Ricciardo, has it? Especially the first half of the season really wasn't. Like, Lando was country miles clear. And we've definitely seen in these last kind of, well, obviously since that win in Italy, his relative performances to Lando have been much closer. I think that's a good sign for next year for McLaren. You've just got to hope that Daniel can adjust to this new car and deliver. Because again, you look at how well Carlos Sainz has done relative to Leclerc, you know, and I mean, I think Leclerc's better than Norris, not by much, but you know, and Ricciardo's got more experience than Sainz. Yet, you know, it didn't look good, but Daniel does seem to have turned things around. Hopefully, I know Mexico, Brazil, Qatar, the results weren't quite there, but I think the performances, you know, there were factors involved that, you know, didn't exactly help his cause. But yeah, I think Daniel's kind of in a good place to kick on for next year. He's felt supported by the team, which is important as well. He's talked at lengths about that, which is good. And yeah, I think Lando, I've seen like Lando's been getting a bit of stick. Because look, you got Turkey P7, USA P8, Mexico P10, Sao Paulo P10, Qatar P9, Saudi P10. Now, they're not P4s and P3s and P5s. But, again, I think the Ferraris have made, compared to where the Ferraris were at the start of the year, I think they have made they've got their new hybrid unit. It's got like double the output. That has made a significant difference. You've got Gasly doing really well as well. Carlos adjusting that to that car even more. It was always a lot to ask, and that McLaren isn't where it was at the start of the year relative to the field. So I don't think it's easy to read them results and be like, oh, Lando fell off. Lando's been rubbish. He hasn't though. You actually like look at the results and look at, you know, he came back from last to points in like 2 races on the trot, didn't he? I can't even remember what races they were. I think one of them was Brazil, wasn't it? And you know what I mean? I think Lando's overall, yes, his season's been really good. Like right up there, right at the sharp end. Lando, 100%. And again, by the signs, but by the performances of Daniel in this second kind of half of the season, it's looking promising for next year. For McLaren, for sure. Then Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Ferrari. Look, I've said it. I think given the fact that this is Carlos's kind of first year at the team, he's done so well. He's been clear for me the best new driver at a new team for this year. Absolutely smashed it. And Charles has done a really good job as well. Like, Charles has been super consistent. How many P4s has Charles got? Charles has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 P4s all season. You know, Monaco is a what could have been, isn't it? Obviously got that P2 at Silverstone as well. Carlos's consistency, though, I don't think he's had the out-and-out pace of Charles over the course of the whole season. But right now, I don't think there's much in it at all, to be honest. Don't think there's much in it at all. They've both really impressed me. Again, I think Ferrari are going to be... If I had to put my money on a team today to win the championship next year, it's a Ferrari/Ferrari driver winning it, I think. They're in a really good place. They've both made mistakes. You know, Carlos had a few lock-ups and wall hits earlier in the season. Leclerc's been kind of guilty of dropping it a few times. But even like, look at like Leclerc's worst results. I mean, Russia, it was a gamble that didn't pay off. Hungary, he got wiped out. And then France, well, they were both terrible in France. So bad. The Ferraris were terrible in France. And then obviously crashed in Monaco. Other than that, it's points every single race for Charles. So he has had a very, very good season. Very good season. They've both been great. And then Perez Verstappen. Look, Perez hasn't been their quali pace. We know this. But his race performances have been very good. And obviously Red Bull will have hoped for both. But again, for a driver of Sergio's experience to come in and be so far off of Max says a lot, if you ask me. about how much we can realistically expect, because Sergio's not a qualifier 5, 6, 7, 8 tenths off your teammate driver. I know he's not known for his qualifying, but that doesn't mean he's not slow in qualifying. Like, he's just not known for being particularly exceptional qualifying. You know what I mean? And yeah, I agree. I think it says a lot about the caliber of teammate in Max Verstappen, 100%, because Max's pace this year has been clear of, I'd probably say, everyone. Just like raw pace. But yeah, I think Sergio really needs to pull it out now. He needs a big result here at Abu Dhabi to support Max. He really does. He very much does. But we will see. And then Max, like I say, I think pace-wise he's been incredible. Obviously, you'll look back at this year. You know, if Baku doesn't happen, even if he finishes behind Lewis at Silverstone, the title's already done. Max has had the pace. I haven't agreed with the aggressiveness of his defence at times, but as well, if the FIA aren't going to police it, that's what I say: play to the whistle. Then drivers are going to, engage in the dark arts if they feel that they need to try and keep position, ultimately. So yeah, but again, there's always nuance. There's always, there's two. You need two sides to tangle. You know what I mean? But Max is definitely driven at a good enough standard to win this championship, 100%. When you think of the factors that were completely out of his control, then like 100% out of his control, Hungary and Azerbaijan, then you know what I mean. Any plans for merch in the future? We'll see, Harris. We'll see. Thank you, Todd, for the 9.99, by the way, mate. Appreciate it. Read somewhere about the early 80s ground effects and how it helped Keke Rosberg's style of late braking and throwing it into corners. Hopefully, it will be the same for Daniel Style Ricciardo, 2022 World Drivers' Champion. Todd feeling confident. Mate, I'd love to see it. I would love to see it, because I feel like I've resigned to the fact that he's never going to win a Drivers' Championship. But that would be mad. That would be mad. But yeah, anyway, we're not getting into this nonsense. Oh, yeah, but Max got more unlucky. Lewis got lucky, blah, blah. Just give it a rest, all right? There's enough of that going on Twitter. We don't need that in our live chat as well, right? And then Bottas, Hamilton. Bottas has had a better season than Perez, no question. But he has also been at that team for 5 years. And I would expect a driver who's been at a team for as long as he has to be taking more points away from Max if Lewis is getting close. But then, look, I do honestly just think that Lewis and Max are operating at another level. They both are. And the teammates can't not even come close. Bottas has had his odd moment, but all in all, like, no. You know what I mean? All in all, the teammates haven't been close, and Lewis and Max have been having their own championship, and they're both phenomenal racing drivers, clearly. And Lewis could make it 8, Max could make it his first. The torch will be passed on, but will it be this year? Will it be this year? That's the question. So it all comes down to the finale, 369.5 points apiece. We will see. We will see. I do think Lewis now, based on just right now, it's a straight fight ultimately. Again, the only way they finish level on points and Max wins the title that way is if they both DNF or one finishes P10, the other finishes P9, but the person in P10 gets fastest lap. That's the only way they finish level on points. The only two ways. And in that instance, Max wins the title because he will have won more races. Other than that, it's a straight fight. Whoever finishes ahead of the other wins the title. Mad, isn't it? Can't believe it's actually come down to this. To the half point. What are the chances? 21 races. How many points on... hang on. So you can score a maximum of 26 points. Times 22. So times 21. So up until this stage, there's been the maximum amount of points you could score is 546. Okay? If you won every single race and got fastest lap in every single race. Of the 21 of 22 we've raced it now. Oh yeah, and the sprints as well. I forgot about them. So was it? Well, the sprints it's like 9 points, isn't it? Extra, plus nine for the sprints. All of that, and they still have the exact same number. That's just the likelihood of that actually happening is so small. It makes you think we live in a simulation. Honestly. But yeah, it's mad. It's honestly crazy. It's been a mad ride. I just hope it's clean. What I don't like. Now look, I've said it myself, okay? I didn't like the way Max defended Brazil. I thought that deserved some kind of switch position or penalty or whatever, okay? Because that was clear. It was the clearest going off track and gaining a lasting advantage I've ever seen in my life, okay? And there's been, you could argue like Spain and Imola, there's been like incidents this year, right? But I really don't like how there's almost this kind of assumption from a lot of particularly British media that because, and look, I understand that yes, it is true that if Max was to drive into Lewis and take them both out, okay, that he would win the title. That is factually correct. I understand that. But there just seems to be this level of like assumption that because he's driven, like he's flirted with the boundaries of what's kind of within. But drivers do that a lot. Drivers do that all the, like you look at Austria when Perez pushed Norris, or Norris pushed, I can't even remember. Was it Norris pushed Perez wide and then Perez pushed Leclerc wide? And it's like drivers do this. Like drivers are guilty of this kind of stuff all the time. And I know it's easy to like jump on, because it's the two main protagonists. And yes, Max, I think, has overstepped the mark a lot of times, as have many other drivers throughout the field. And obviously, because it's been them two fighting for a championship, there's way more focus on them two. Look, Max is... There is... You can't convince me that Max is going to try and take out Lewis. What you can convince me is that maybe he will go for a desperate move. Maybe Lewis will go for a desperate move. For me, that is what, like, all of these instances between the two of them have been, Lewis wanting to stay ahead at Silverstone because he knew if Max got past, then he's probably not going to catch him. Made a mistake on the inside, hit Verstappen. Verstappen goes into the wall. Lewis ends up winning the race. Lewis can... You replay that Silverstone incident 1,000 times, and I feel like 950 times Lewis also DNFs because that's such a high speed crash and those cars are so fragile at the front. You know what I mean? Like you can talk about this with loads of incidents, but ultimately, there's no way, like, because it just won't stand. Like if someone purposefully tries and maliciously takes someone out, they will get penalised. Like Michael Massey's, I understand why Massey's kind of clarified it. But that's what happened to Schumacher when he tried to take out Villeneuve. I don't think Max needs to. I don't think he will do that. Of course, he won't do that. Like I don't believe for a second that he's going to try and take out Lewis. I just think I understand where the narrative comes from, because factually, if they both DNF, Max wins the championship. But do I think it's real? No, I don't think it's real at all. But because again, like, you know, it's happened before, and we get disqualified. So I don't think it's going to pan like that at all. I am confident. I have faith that both drivers, you know, maybe they will push the other one wide. It doesn't mean they're trying to take them out. You know what I mean? I think, again, that there's pushing someone wide and like trying to end their race. There's pushing someone wide because you're desperate to try and keep hold of position. There's also making a mistake. There's like lots of different ways you can choose to interpret these incidents. And it feels like all too often you've got the extreme Lewis fans who interpret every Max, you know, push wide as malicious. You've got the extreme Verstappen fans who interpret the opposite way. And it's like, you know, we're free people. Like you're not in a cult. Like if you're like you can be a Max fan and also criticize things he does. You can be a Lewis fan and also criticize things he does. That is called free thinking. And there's like, obviously Twitter amplifies these voices of fans who, you know, are super one side and super the other. Like, imagine for a second, if I tried to defend every single shocking result Alex Albon got last year. Like, how much of a clown would I be? And it's like obviously you can't. And you know what? No, when you are like super for one driver, you are more likely to analyze their performance and maybe, okay, I can give them more benefit of the doubt than the typical neutral fan, because I've been looking at their performance and I've got some additional nuance that you might not picked up on. That's fair enough. But to just blindly throw crap at the other side, it's not what I'm about, okay? I will always try my best to look at each incident and, you know, remove the livery and just be like, right, who's actually at fault? And that's why I can come to a conclusion, like, I think Lewis was more at fault for Silverstone, but I also think Max 100% deserved some kind of penalisation for Brazil. Like, for me it's clear. But that's my perspective, because I'm just looking at these cars as they are cars, because I don't really have a horse in the race. But there we go. That's my thought on it all. Damon Hill opinion. Again, I think that, you know, we talk about Damon Hill, Paul di Resta. You know, we talk about a lot of these pundits. I think my issue is that, for example, Ziggo, okay? We know Ziggo are obviously super max, super max, super max, right? And I would expect nothing different. We've never had a Dutch Formula One world champion. Max is their first opportunity for the nation of the Netherlands to have a Formula One world champion. And Ziggo, like, of course they're going to be Supermax. And I don't begrudge them in any way, shape or form. I know that Ziggo is also gone next year. The problem is that then I believe that, and again, if you watch Canal Plus, then surely it's going to be, you know, you look at the commentator's reaction to Gasly and Ocon winning. Like, obviously, it's a French driver. You wouldn't begrudge that. And it's like, there should be, I don't have a problem with the British media having British bias. The problem is the British media voice, Sky Sports feed, is also the world feed. And that's where the problem is. That's where the problem is. I think there's of course, like it's kind of like, I don't know, watching like when English TV is covering a Champions League final and it's an English team versus a non-English team, or when a Spanish team's in the final and it's a Spanish team versus a non-Spanish team. That, of course, the production from that country is gonna want their team / person to win. That's fine, but I think F1 TV should be a separate like thing, as far as I'm concerned, that has drivers from different countries and, you know, analysis of different, you know, has a much more kind of worldly diverse panel to talk about the sport in a more kind of objective way. But also, the problem is as well, is it's kind of a losing battle, because say you even did that, say you got this panel, it was F1 TV, right, separate to Sky, separate to Ziggo, separate to everyone else, right? Say you had this team and anyone on that team states an opinion, okay? Even like the least controversial opinion about a driver, you're going to get that small portion of that driver's cult followers, not even saying fans, cult followers, stans, okay? That's where Stan comes from. Watch the Eminem music video. All right? And they're going to say they're biased. So you also can't win. And that's kind of something I have to accept with this, doing what I do, is that I'm going to get called bias. I get called bias from opposite points of view on the same video. How does that make sense? What am I meant to do? How am I meant to? What am I meant to do? It's the same video. It's the same piece of content. And I'm both Max and Lewis bias. Which one is it? Which one is it? I just like to see it as I'm actually based, but they just put an I in by accident. Okay, that's the way I choose to interpret it. Okay, but yeah, I'll try my best, but ultimately we're just human. Okay, I'm just a fan. I'm not a journalist. I'm not claiming to be some like, oh, look at me, I've got a big YouTube channel. I watch the sport that I love. I make videos about it, and people choose to watch them, and it's what I enjoy doing. And I've been able to make, you know, this my job now, which is obviously a massive privilege, you know. And I'm just going to carry on saying what I want to say, speaking my mind, and, you know, be completely honest about the drivers that I love and I don't. And then if you think I'm biased, fine, you're entitled to that opinion. But I always find it's more interesting to not just blindly be like, because that's just boring. I could just be like, oh yeah, well actually Alex got really unlucky last year because of this and this and this, and actually this should have happened. So actually he was actually the best driver on the grid. Like I could say it, but like what's the point of that? It's just boring. Like it's not true. It's not honest. Like, I'd rather actually try and actually what do I think about this and what actually happened? I think that's a far more interesting kind of discussion to have. But yeah, of course I'm very Squarespace biased, of course. I'm more than happy to admit that bias. But yeah. Anyway. Also, before we go, I know this has been a very long one, but look, this is the weekend, all right? We're dragging this out. I saw people in chat mention that we've seen like some new helmet designs, right? So who's got a new helmet design? Oh, wow. Lando does. Oh, interesting. This is a bit vibey. All right, give me a sec. Let me just get the screen share up. This is Lando Norris's new lid for this weekend. Glow in the dark to match the glow in the dark livery that they are running. So I want to see the I want to see the McLaren. Yeah, this is the livery they're running this weekend. It looks really good. Let's get the proper pictures up. Where's like the I think this livery looks dope, mate. I don't say that word often, but I'm reserving it for this one. Very nice. Love the colours. And it will glow in the dark as well, as you can see here. Glowing in the dark, which is pretty cool, pretty decent. What other ones? Alfa Romeo Racing All-in. Kimi obviously flipped his buggy. Classic Kimi. I love this. I know that, you know, it gets a bit dull with like they're making the same meme all the time, but I do love this. I love that they've actually put this on the car. I do actually like that. They've actually put it on the car. And this for Antonio as well, which is a nice little touch. Grazie di tutto, Antonio. Grazie tu tutti. But yeah. Bottas also has a new lid, does he? Let's have a look at Bottas's helmet, shall we? Ooh, okay, what's this? Oh, that's nice. It's like Polaroids of memories. And I guess they will write, when he completes the race, he'll get a pen out and write on there, maybe. He's obviously kept it blank. So, because obviously he has podiums and pole positions. I mean, I'm not like purely aesthetically. I'm not going to say I love it, but it's a nice touch. It's a nice touch. Did I see Lando's interview? Is that when he said he'll brake test Charles because he only gets a 10-second penalty? It's called a joke. It's funny. It was funny. Okay, they're mates. Oh yeah, look, we've got a little video here. Beautiful, very cute. Mazepin's got a new helmet as well. Has he? Oh yeah. Wow. Honestly, I get it. Is that Christmas themed? Honestly, I hate it. I don't like it. I really don't like it. It's the gold, man. It's the gold. The gold just makes it look like a cheap Christmas bauble. It's not for me. It's the if it wasn't gold, if it had like a pearly white base, then I think I would like it. Because I do like his base design. I really like the orange that he has and the black. But the gold just ain't it for me. It's just not. It's not it for me. It's not it. Is it supposed to be Russian themed? Maybe it is. Look, Iron Man. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not my cup of tea. Definitely not my cup of tea. It's too bling bling. I like helmets that have a mixture of matte and high shine gloss, and this just doesn't. It's like a satin gold. It's just I don't like the gold. Sorry, not my cup of tea. Anything else to look at before we wrap the stream up? Yuki Tsunoda helmet. Okay. That's quite big on the screen, isn't it? Hang on, let me make this a bit smaller. It's cool. It's okay. It's not blowing my mind. I mean, I loved his autumnal one that he had a few races ago. This is, it's okay. It's okay. It's not amazing. It's not okay. But yeah, obviously tribute to Honda. Final race for Honda in Formula 1. Maybe ever. They'll probably be back because they always are. There we go. That's a wrap, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Like the stream if you've enjoyed it. I would appreciate that. Smash that like button. Smash it. It's cringing it. And double check you're subscribed as well. Because we will be streaming. Will I stream tomorrow? I'm not planning on streaming tomorrow, but maybe I will. I might stream tomorrow. I might stream practice and qualifying and the race. Because it's the final race of the season. Now, of course, yes, all you real ones. Who wants to see Minton? I don't actually know where he is, so I'll need a few moments to go and find him. Let me just make sure that is that all good. Yeah, that's fine. All right, 2 ticks. I'll go find Minton and I'll bring him back so that you can look at him. He's probably asleep somewhere. 2 secs. I couldn't find him. I couldn't find him. Yeah, he was behind the sofa, wrapped up in the spare bed sheets. Literally. Hang on, let me just close this door. Literally, I was like, Minton? I was like, treat. Because he likes that word. But he was obviously in such a deep sleep, he wasn't coming out. Where were you, mate? Hey? Minton Driver of the Year. I think so. I agree. Right. You want to go back to sleep, mate? I might actually take you for a walk. I'll take him for a little walk. Because I fancy a little walk, even though it's dark out. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. 1 hour, 38 minutes and 53 seconds long, this stream. And yeah, I will see you maybe tomorrow. Maybe not, but maybe. It is the final race of the year, so extra occasion. But yeah, cheers everyone for coming. Thank you to everyone who's watching this after the fact as well. I appreciate you if you managed to get to the end. And am I boring you, mate? Right. Cheers, everyone. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and I will maybe see you tomorrow, if not qualifying on Saturday. Cheerio, we are out of